Welcome to Ninja Connections Video PowerPoint. This presentation covers the basics of how to put together a good presentation. So have you ever fallen asleep in a presentation? Maybe this one. It's because our brains are limited. We can't focus for more than 10 to 15 minutes with any accuracy. On top of that, our perceptions are all different. Each of us experiences the world in a different way. This means that time and space are relative for each of us. Think of a time when you've been watching a presentation and it dragged on, but yet when you were giving it, time flew. Visual memory. We're not very accurate at remembering what we just saw, but we base a lot of the information we intake on what we see. Additionally, our brains only have limited processing power. We can only hold so many ideas in our head at one time before experiencing fatigue. And we really don't need to say much about fatigue. We all get tired, influences the way we think, our ability to focus, whether you're a presenter or an audience member. So one way to make sure that your presentations are more effective is to go back to those ninja rules. Prepare strategically before you begin to put together your presentation or make any of your slides. Understand the purpose, the goals, and motivations of your presentation. Understand your audience's expectations and any situational variables that will impact the perception of your presentation message. Frame your approach for the audience, purpose, and context you're in, and then make sure you have an agenda, you know what you're going to cover. Why you need to do this is because when you are presenting, the presenter's mind frame is very different than that of the audience. If you're a presenter, you may be experiencing performance anxiety. You're information driven. You're thinking about the facts that you have to share with your audience. You're internally focused on getting your message across. On the other hand, if you're an audience member, you may not even want to be there. You're listening passively and you're looking for clues of what's in it for you. What are the benefits of sitting through this presentation? So if you don't plan ahead, you may end up with a presentation that's misaligned. You may not meet your audience needs and expectations, and therefore not be able to accomplish your objective and goal. So as you prepare strategically for your presentation, consider your purpose, analyze your audience, and prepare an appropriate frame. This will help you align your goals and interests with that of the audience. It will also help you select information that needs to be included in the presentation. This brings us to the next step in your presentation development process. You need to make sure you choose logical, sufficient, relevant information. Just as when you're putting together a written message, you need to take inventory, considering the information, the levers, and the evidence you have at your disposal. Select that information based on your purpose, the audience needs and concerns, and where you can demonstrate alignment. And then make sure that all of the information that you include move your message forward towards accomplishing your purpose. Do this by looking at and analyzing your information before you start to put together your visuals. Analysis is not always easy. It requires that we review the data, ask ourselves specific questions about it, group the data, and then synthesize the data as well. Data analysis and synthesis allows you to present information to your audience that aligns with their goals and interests and promotes your purpose. So make sure you take this important step before you begin designing your visuals, before you begin putting your presentation together. After you've analyzed your purpose, audience, and context, you've chosen the right information, grouped it, and decided how it's going to add value to the audience of your presentation. You're ready to plan your attack. This is structuring your presentation so that the message flows and increases memory factor. Now, during presentations, very often the audience drifts in and out of. As a presenter, this isn't what you want to happen. You want all of their attention on you all of the time. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen, and we experience memory curves. These memory curves result in the audience not paying attention and not remembering what you said. And if you conveyed critical information during the presentation when they weren't listening, your message wasn't effective. So what do? You alter your structure, and plan and weave into your organization stories and examples that engage the audience. We all like a good story because it has an ebb and flow of events. We're engaged, we get excited, we find out what happens, then we move on to the next complication, the next tension that keeps us moving forward. We also are very used to this structure, and so it's easier for us as audience members to listen to stories than it is to listen to big, long tracts of data. Think, for example, back to behavioral interviews where you use the STAR or PAR response. You give us the situation, the task, the action, and then the result. This follows a narrative approach. And in that arc of the narrative, you convey the important information that you want the audience to hear. But you package it in a story that keeps them engaged and gives them concrete examples of what it is you're speaking about. You can use this same approach throughout your presentation, weaving in various examples and stories that concretely illustrate, build up to an event, resolve that event, and then move on. This increases memory factor and will help with the overall reception of your presentation. Now, the next trick comes once you've outlined your presentation and organized your information. The trick comes with how do you deliver that information? Well, first, you need to make sure that that outline works for that audience and that you have visuals that support your overall message. Use CRAP to focus attention through contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity in visual design. Don't rely on visual memory. Use your visuals to augment what you're saying, and if you're comparing things, put them both there for the audience to see at the same time. After you've completed your organizational plan and your visuals, then it's time to start rehearsing and working on your nonverbal and verbal messaging. Here's where you want to focus on honest signals and use them to your advantage to close the gap and connect. Proximity, open posture, gesture, intent, and rhetoric help you engage with authenticity and show your audience that you and they have aligned interests. You're there to provide value and insight through your presentation. You do this in a couple of ways with delivery. First, focus on your verbal delivery. Make sure that you have clear and accurate language that enhances memory factor and tells a story. Then make sure that you align your language with the expectations of the audience. That you're not using jargon that they don't understand, or that you are using jargon that they expect you to use because of their specific area of interest. Be fluent and confident as you speak. Now, this is easier said than done for many people. So we don't recommend that you memorize. Rather, create an outline for yourself. Speak out loud and practice and rehearse. A lot of people like to write down what they're going to say and then read it back to themselves. Either way, whatever strategy you use, you need to be fluid in the moment, not memorized, and that takes rehearsal. And as you rehearse, you can also practice your nonverbals. Closeness or proximity, eye contact, posture, and gesture all show us connections. We're hardwired to connect with each other. We draw a lot of information from our nonverbal communication and from our tone of voice, from the energy and the stillness that we convey. So practice your speech patterns, your tone, how you stand, your pitch, even smiling. This will make a difference in the end presentation because you'll be able to focus on the audience and listen to their needs because you've rehearsed and you're comfortable with the information and the way you're going to deliver that information. Even if you have a very short video presentation to create, you should rehearse it before you record it in order for optimal results.